The meeting will now come to order. I'm Steve Whistler, President of the Board of Education, and I'd like to welcome you to the August 12th, 2026 board meeting. In keeping with the board's commitment to open communication with the community, this meeting is being streamed live on the CCPS website at www.carrollk12.org and broadcast live on Channel 21. We're also recording this meeting so that it can be accessed on demand on our website and broadcast throughout the month on Channel 21. Public participation will be held at approximately 5:15 p.m., following the reports section on the board meeting agenda. Speakers will be directed into the boardroom from the building lobby and are allotted 3 minutes to address the board. As a reminder, please silence all cell phones and other devices. Board members, please turn off your microphones when not speaking. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey, seconded by Dr. Malvo. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Any discussions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we will have our Carroll County Student Government Report. Ready for your report? Thank you. So nice to see you.
Yes. Sorry. It's been
That's
a
fine.
very early morning as high school tryouts began today. Good afternoon, board members and Dr. McCabe. My name is Peony Kang, a senior at Liberty High School and president of the Carroll County Student Government Association. This month, CCSJA has begun working to start this upcoming year. We hosted our first executive board meeting on August 6th, and we'll host 2 more before the school year starts. At the meeting, we established expectations, discussed theme ideas, and began planning for advance, which will be held August 27th at Hoshua Outdoor School. Event registration has been sent out, so if you are an SJA member, please reach out to your advisor with more details and how to register. We are so excited to start the year. The Carroll County Student Government Association remains committed to supporting and advocating for the student body, cultivating leadership, and building a united community throughout Carroll County. On behalf of CCSJA, I'm looking forward to a successful 2026 to 2027 school year. Thank you for your time and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is board members' activities and correspondence. Can we hear from our student rep?
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be here today after not being able to be here during the July meeting. On August 5th, I attended the Century Student Government Association Executive Board meeting where we discussed homecoming processes, WOW Day, and what we'll go through during the processing of elections for advisory representatives and further on in the year with SGA representative elections. Then, as Ms. Kang mentioned, I attended the August 6th CCSGA meeting, and that was really great to meet our new team that we'll be working with this year, and I'm really excited to get started and help advocate for the students that I'll be working with further on in the year. And I hope that our students have a good start to their school year later on in this month. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll start at the opposite end of the dais. Dr. Malvo, please.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So here are some of the activities to report on over the course of the month. On July the 22nd, I went to, with my family, to the Reese Volunteer Fire Company Carnival. The carnival serves as one of the fire company's largest annual fundraisers, helping support the equipment, training, and resources needed to protect our community. Also, beside rides, food, fun, they had music, and so my family thoroughly enjoyed the AC/DC cover band High Voltage, and we had a nice moment where my son was actually invited to come on stage, so he rocked out with them to his favorite song, Back in Black. So that was a memory for sure. On July 30th, I logged into the virtual Blueprint Accountability and Implementation Board meeting. There was discussion about Blueprint progress with Level 4 career ladder pilots, as well as a Blueprint comprehensive plan update, and in addition, a career and technical education vision implementation plan was presented. It's that time of year, so again, on August 1st, I went to my hometown's Volunteer Fire Company Annual Carnival in Hampstead. It's the town's largest fundraising event and has been an annual event for 60 years. Not only is the week-long carnival an enjoyable community gathering, but it is an essential source of funding for the fire company's operations, especially since the rebuilding of the fire station and the attractive event for venues Fireside on Main. My family and I thoroughly enjoyed time seeing friends, community members, and watching the fireworks. On August the 5th, I enjoyed the Carroll County 4-H and FFA Fair. I went to the Market Swine Show, which got me wondering if I should have on our small farm another pig or two. After that, I was a little bit disappointed, yet very much it was necessary for the cancellation of the horse pull that was due to extremely muddy conditions. The highlight of the day, though, was the cake auction, and proceeds from the auction go toward the future fairs and programs. So my son and I were psyched to win a bid on Audrey Jenkinson's award-winning gluten-free white cake with buttercream. Carroll Countyans were very generous that day, and by the end of the cake auction, over $100,000 was raised. The week-long 4-H and FFA fair really showcases our county's pride and commitment to an agricultural lifestyle that gives us unique beauty and sustainability over other counties. Thank you to all of the local businesses, community groups, county families, and community members for bringing another great week to a tradition that's been going on since 1897. Well, it's getting to be that time of year. Schools will begin reopening in a matter of weeks, and there will be back-to-school nights and events to attend this month. As a reminder, now available are 1-hour group sensory-friendly orientations for incoming 6th grade students in each of the middle schools and for incoming 9th graders at each of the high schools during our back-to-school events. These sensory-friendly orientations are designed to support students with and without disabilities as they begin the new school year in new places. During these sensory-friendly orientations, students and their families will have opportunities to learn about their new school, meet their teachers, and walk their schedules. Again, these events will be offered in addition to the many back-to-school events offered across all CCPS schools. Our family looks forward to attending our son's back-to-school events on August 27th, including the sensory-friendly orientation session that's offered. See when your child's school meets, and if you have individual questions or needs for your child, now is the time to reach out directly to the school for information. I want to wish everybody a very safe and smooth return to school, and I hope you made some amazing summer memories. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Malvo. Ms. Battaglia?
First, congratulations to all those that participated in the Carroll County 4-H and FFA Fair. It was an amazing, busy, and fantastic week. The weather was phenomenal. It was nice beginning of the week, and then towards the end it got a little hot. But I know the animals and the kids that were showing truly appreciated the nice weather, as well as our judges for all their animal shows. I spent most of the week volunteering in the 4-H concession stand, and my youngest, Bella, volunteered over 40 hours. So we should be submitting her service hours. She's done, 7th grader, fantastic, I love it. Now it's time to start preparing for next year. I do want to thank all those that volunteer and ensure that the fair happens. Without our volunteers, the fair would not be possible. Good luck to all those who are getting ready to start college or trade classes. This morning, my son was one of those that left home for the next couple of weeks, where he will be in trade school in Danville, Virginia. It's also that time of year when I remind parents to watch the show 13 Reasons Why. This show is based on encounters that teens have experienced. It is important to have conversations with your teens, middle school and high school ages. These conversations may be uncomfortable, but remind your teen that you are there for them, and yes, as parents, we do understand. Good luck to all of our students and staff that head back at the end of the month, and I hope you have an amazing school year. And to our seniors that are entering, this is your time to shine. This is where all the hard work will pay off. Enjoy every single moment of your senior years. Make those memories last. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Zimmer.
Thank you. August 9th was National Book Lovers Day. With summer vacations winding down, my family has been focusing on our summer reading. I thought it was a good opportunity to remind families that there's still more than 2 weeks of summer left, which means there's still plenty of time to participate in Carroll County Public Library's summer reading program. If your student is already signed up, don't forget to keep logging those books. And if you haven't yet signed up, it's still not too late. Reading over the summer is important for helping students maintain the skills they develop during the school year and to avoid some of the learning loss that can happen over a long break. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Just encourage your kids to read regularly and choose books that they're interested in. So, if summer reading has gotten a little lost between vacations, sports, camps, and everything else, there's still time to get some reading in before we head back to school. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Dorsey.
Thank you. On July 21st, I attended the MABE Conference Program Committee meeting, and at that meeting, we continued refining our agenda for this year's conference. And I have one other activity that was from July 28th. I attended the MABE Resolutions Committee meeting. During that meeting, we reviewed the updated resolutions that guide our organization. These resolutions will be distributed to all board members and then voted on during the business meeting of our MABE conference this year. So I encourage my board colleagues, when these resolutions hit your inboxes, please review them and make sure that you share any feedback that you might have concerning those. And finally, I hope everyone is enjoying the last few weeks of summer vacation and looking forward to starting a new school year. Many thanks to all staff who have been working hard to prepare for the reopening of schools. So best wishes to everyone as our new school year soon gets underway. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorsey. As for me, I hope everyone is enjoying a very safe and relaxing summer break, and more importantly, finding time to spend with family and friends. I especially hope our educators have had an opportunity to relax, refresh, and recharge before we begin the school year. This transition begins tomorrow, actually, with new teacher orientation, which continues through August 20th. And I look forward to joining our teachers, our county's newest educators, for lunch tomorrow and welcoming them to Carroll County Public Schools. And I'm not sure, Dr. Dorsey, if you'll have a chance to be there or not, but that's great. We'd love to see you there, too. But our new educators are joining an incredible cadre of professionals. The focus of our educators on strong curriculum, effective instruction, and continuous partnership with parents and families have helped Carroll County once again achieve top 3 statewide performance in math, reading, and science. That continued success is something our entire community should be proud of as we prepare for the year ahead. We still have a great deal of work ahead to improve results for every student, and I know that our newest educators will help us achieve even better results for our students. Over the past month, I've had an opportunity to drive by several schools undergoing maintenance, renovations, and other improvements. My sincere thanks to our 12-month educators, our building and maintenance personnel, facility staff, and everyone else who works throughout the summer to ensure our schools are ready to welcome students back on August 31st. Following tomorrow's new teacher orientation activities, I'll travel to Ocean City for the Maryland Association of Counties, or MACO, conference, where I'll join legislators and county and municipal leaders from across Maryland. I intend to use these conversations to continue emphasizing the need to reform the blueprint for Maryland's future and establish realistic priorities that protect educational excellence, while at the same time ensuring we have affordable and sustainable path ahead for our school systems and taxpayers across the state. Carroll County has demonstrated that strong academic outcomes and responsible stewardship of public resources can and should go hand in hand. Finally, as we look forward to the start of another school year, I encourage my colleagues on the board here to join me at schools on the morning of Monday, August 31st, to welcome back our students, our educators, our staff, bus drivers, and families for another year. Thank you. Dr. McCabe.
This evening, I'd like to congratulate the students from our high school FFA chapters who placed well in events at the state FFA convention. Teams from Francis Scott Key High School placed first in livestock judging, fourth in dairy evaluation and Ag Knowledge Bowl, and fifth in forestry. Manchester Valley High School's FFA Ag Issues team placed third in their competition, and the Winters Mill High School FFA placed fourth in poultry evaluation. In addition to the team awards, many students earned recognition for their individual accomplishments. The full results are available on our website, Facebook, and Instagram. Congratulations again to our FFA members and their advisors. And now, with the first day of school nearly upon us, I would like to thank all of our employees for their hard work over the summer to ensure that our schools and classrooms are ready for students on the first day of school. We are excited to greet our new teachers as they begin their orientation program tomorrow to learn more about our school system. We also look forward to welcoming our returning teachers on August 24th as they participate in professional learning and prepare for the new school year. And most of all, we look forward to seeing the smiling faces, well, almost all smiling faces, of our students on the first day of school, which will be Monday, August 31st. I hope that everyone enjoys the remaining days of the summer break and that our students and employees have a great school year.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Our next order of business is presentations. Dr. McCabe.
Each August, we report on Pillar 1 of the strategic plan, which focuses on academic achievement. This means that we are sharing MCAP performance results. Mr. Wernick and our team from Accountability will share results. While our comparative results remain very strong, there also remains areas of improvement and growth throughout the system. I'll ask Mr. Wernick to begin the presentation, and we will be happy to respond to any questions and discussion.
All right. Good evening, board members. Dr. McCabe. I'm going to kick us off with just a brief set of introductions. We have Mr. Wernick, who is our Director of Curriculum Instruction. To my right, we also have Dr. Kendra Hart, our Supervisor of Title I Testing and School Performance. I also wanted to recognize Ms. Christine Hill, our local accountability coordinator, who is not here this evening but played a vital role, as always, in the development of this presentation, and Ms. Jennifer Youngworth, our data management and reporting coordinator. So I'll turn things over to the team to get us started.
It's on. Good evening, and thank you for having us. I have the pleasure of introducing our objective for the presentation. Technology. I love it. There we are. Thank you. Our what? We are here to review the achievement data from the 25-26 MCAP administration, compare results with the 24-25 MCAP administration, and identify strengths, areas of focus, and our next steps. How? We're going to use a presentation and discussion model. And our why is to evaluate the progress of the priority focus areas identified in Pillar 1 of the CCPS strategic plan and to inform data-driven decision-making. The MCAT was administered to students who were in grades 3 through 8 and those enrolled in Algebra 1, ELA 10, Government, and Biology. There were 2 administrations, one in the fall and one in the spring. MCAT performance levels remained the same from the previous year, with Level 1 being a beginning learner and Level 4 being a distinguished learner. Here are the overall MCAT observations from the Maryland State Department of Education. When compared to the previous year assessment results, there was an increase of 0.9% in student proficiency for all tests combined in ELA and 0.6% in mathematics. When compared to the overall student population results, proficiency rates were lower among our multilingual students, economically disadvantaged, and students with disabilities. There was an increase in science proficiency. However, the proficiency levels in all ELAs and among all student groups are below the levels achieved in the school year 22-23. This information was shared in an MSDE press release. And when you see it, it's going to tell you that the 25-26 school year marked the final administration of MCAP.
Proximity did not make a difference.
It stopped flashing.
There we go.
All right, thank you. So starting with the 26-27 school year, we will transition from MCAP to the newly designed Maryland System of Testing Academic Readiness, known as MSTAR. There will be a 2-year transition as noted on the screen. And according to MSDE, the new MSTAR assessment will include an adaptive test format, shorter assessments, improved precision, updated accessibility features, and an enhanced parent portal, including online reporting for families and educators. Our team has been trained on the testing platform. We do not have a lot of details about the assessments. We will be receiving that training at the beginning of the school year. But I do want to give a shout out and a thank you to Gary and Ken and the entire tech services team, because they have been proactively collaborating with us and MSDE to make sure that our technology will be set up and ready for our students. So thank you to those guys. We're going to begin with sharing and comparing the state and Carroll County MCAP data for ELA. This is the combined proficiency of all ELA assessments for each school district in Maryland. Carroll County ranks second in the state with an overall proficiency of 67.5%, which is an increase of 1% from last year. Throughout our presentation, you will see the chart on the right will show the number of test takers by assessment for Carroll County. The green bars are the results from the 24-25 school year. The orange bars are the results for the 25-26 school year, and the black bars represent the state results. With that, this graph shows the overall ELA proficiency by assessment. Our overall proficiency by assessments were above the state average. ELA 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10 had increases ranging from 1% to 4%. Our greatest increase was in ELA 8. Proficiency decreased by 3% for ELA 3 and 1% for ELA 6. Here we have the combined ELA proficiency comparisons by race and ethnicity. Again, our students performed above the state average. In comparison to our 24-25 results from last year, we had a range of 1 to 16% increases in proficiency for students who identified as Asian, Black African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and white. Our greatest increase was 16% for our students who identified as Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. We had a range of 2 to 8% decreases in proficiency for our students who identified as American Indian, Alaska Native, Hispanic, Latino of any race, and 2 or more races. This is the ELA data for students who qualify for free and reduced meals. The overall proficiency by assessment, again, were above the state average. In comparison to our 24-25 performance, proficiencies increased by 5% in ELA 5, 2% in ELA 7, and by 6% in ELA 8. Proficiency in ELA 4 remained the same, and our proficiency decreased by 2% in ELA 3 and ELA 10, and by 3% in ELA 6. This chart shows our ELA proficiency by assessment for our students with disabilities. Our ELA 5 had a 1% increase in proficiency. We were above the state average by 3% for ELA 6 and ELA 7. We were equal to the state average in ELA 8, and we had a 1 to 4% decrease in proficiency for the remaining assessments. On this slide and future slides, you will see an asterisk. We use an asterisk whenever we have potentially identifiable information. We align with the state for identifiable information, which is a population size of 10 or less students and or proficiency percentages that are 5% or less. These are the ELA state rankings and proficiency percentages for our farms, students with disabilities, and multilingual learner student groups. Our students who qualify for farms rank second in the state in ELA 6, 7, and 8. Our students who are identified as multilingual learners ranked fourth in the state in ELA 8. These charts provide ELA state rankings and proficiency by race and ethnicity. Students who identify as Black African American ranked first in the state in all ELA assessments. The proficiencies range from 55.3% to 79.6%. Students who identified as Asian ranked fourth in ELA 4 and ELA 8. Students who identify as Hispanic, Latino of any race ranked third in ELA 8 and fourth in ELA 7. Students who identified as white ranked fourth in ELA 7 and ELA 8. Here's our summary of our overall ELA observations for Carroll County. We ranked high across the state in comparison to other school districts. However, we continue to focus on increasing student proficiencies in all areas. ELA 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10 increased in proficiency. We had slight decreases in proficiency in ELA 3 and ELA 6. More than 70% of our test takers continue to be proficient in ELA 7 and ELA 10. And proficiency levels increased for students who identified as Asian, Black African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and white. Proficiency levels decreased for our students who identify as American Indian or Alaska Native, Hispanic, Latino of any race, 2 or more races, and students with disabilities. Our students who qualified for farms performed above the state average across all assessments. At this time, I will transition to the state and Carroll County MCAP for math. This chart represents the combined proficiencies of all math assessments for each school district. Carroll County continues to rank second in the state with an overall proficiency of 41.9%, which is a 1.4% increase from last year. This is our overall performance on the math. This is our overall performance in math, grades 3 through 8, and Algebra 1 assessments. We performed higher than the state average in all assessments. Algebra 1 proficiency increased by 4% from last year. Math 7 increased by 2%. Math 5 and 6 maintained the same proficiency, and we saw slight declines from 1 to 2% in Math 3, 4, and 8. Here we have math proficiency comparisons by race and ethnicity. Our students who identify as American Indian or Alaska Native Black African American, white, and 2 or more races increased in proficiency ranging from 1 to 16%, with our American Indian or Alaska Native students increasing by that 16%. Our students who identify as Hispanic, Latino of any race maintain proficiency, and our students who identify as Asian decrease proficiency by 2%. Our students who qualified for FARM were above the state average across all assessments. Math 3, 5, 6, and 7 had gains in proficiency ranging from 1% to 4%. Algebra 1 maintained proficiency from the prior year. Math 8 had a 3% decrease in proficiency, and Math 4 had a 5% decrease in proficiency. These are the results for our students with disabilities. CCPS and state results for Math 6 and Math 8 and the state average for Math 7 were identifiable, so no data is displayed. There were increases in proficiency for Math 7 and Algebra 1. Math 3 and 4 performed above the state proficiency, and in comparison to last year, Math 3, 4, and 5 had decreases in proficiency ranging from 1% to 5%. Here we have our state rankings for our students who qualify for FARMS, students with disabilities, and our multilingual learners. Students who qualified for FARMS ranked 2nd in Math 3 and 5 and ranked 3rd in Math 6. Our students with disabilities ranked 4th in Math 7. Our multilingual learners ranked 4th in Math 3, and our students who qualified for FARMS and our multilingual learners ranked 4th in Algebra 1. As we highlight the rankings, we acknowledge that the proficiency percentages are low in some areas for us and across the state, and later in the presentation, Mr. Warnick will be sharing next steps for CCPS. These charts provide math state rankings and proficiency by race and ethnicity. Our students who identify as Black African American ranked 1st in Math 4, 5, 7, and Algebra, and ranked 2nd in Math 3 and 6. Our students who identify as Asian ranked 3rd in Math 8 and 4th in Algebra 1. Our students who identify as Hispanic, Latino of any race ranked 4th in Math 3. Our students who identify as 2 or more races ranked 2nd in Math 3 and Math 7, and 4th in Math 5 and 6. Our students who identify as white ranked 4th in Math 3 and Math 4. We ranked 10th in Math 8 for our students who identify as Black African American. We ranked 10th in Algebra 1 for our students who identify as 2 or more races, and we ranked 12th in Math 6 and Math 8 for our students who identify as white. These are our overall observations for Carroll County. We performed above the state average across all math assessments combined. We saw increases in Math 7 and Algebra 1 and slight decreases in proficiency for Math 3, 4, 5, and 8. Proficiency increased by 16% for students who identify as American Indian or Alaska Native. Proficiency levels decreased for students who identify as Asian, Native Hawaiian, or Pacific Islander, and our students with disabilities. Our students who qualify for FARMS performed above the state average across all math assessments. Next, Mrs. Youngworth will share results for the MCAP Science 5 and 8.
Good evening. As Dr. Hart mentioned, I will be sharing the state and Carroll County MCAP comparisons for science. This chart represents the combined proficiencies for both Science 5 and 8's MCAP assessments by LEA. Carroll County ranks 2nd in the state with an overall proficiency of 45.4, which is up over 5% from the prior year and 0.5% away from the first-ranked LEA. Looking at our overall performance, Science 5 saw an improvement in proficiency by 8%, and Science 8 saw an improvement of 3%. Both are at 3-year highs. This graph shows a proficiency of science among our race and ethnicity groups. Students identifying as Asian remain the same at 60%, coming off of a 13% increase from the prior year, We find increases in proficiencies among all the remaining student groups. Our students who identify as Black, African American, as well as white increased in proficiency by 6%. Students who qualified for FARMS followed the same trend as our overall performance, showing improvements in Science 5, which increased proficiency by 7%, and Science 8, which increased slightly by almost 1%. While students with disabilities, Science 5 results were identifiable last year, they are now above that threshold, so increasing from last year. Science 8 showed a decline of 1%. Here we have our state ranking and proficiency data by students who identify as FARMS, students with disabilities, and multilingual learners for science. We'd like to highlight here the high ranking with our FARMS students, grade 8, ranking 3rd in the state. Looking at our student group ranking and proficiency data for race and ethnicity, students who identify as Black African American ranked 1st in the state for Science 5 and 8, and students who identify as 2 or more races ranked 3rd for Science 5. Some rankings that show areas for improvement include students who identify as 2 or more races in Science 8 and students who identify as white in Science 5. To recap overall observations, we continue to find positive trends across the science assessments, ranking 2nd in the state, which is up from prior years, and all student groups showed positive gains in proficiencies ranging from 2% to 6%. Lastly, we touch on LS-MESA and government assessments. Looking at our overall performance, students who took LS-MESA showed very positive growth over the past 3 years. Last year showing a proficiency of 70%, which is up 8% from the prior year, and 21%, and up 21% from school year 2024. Generally, our government assessment has maintained proficiency of about 70% these past 2 years, but is up 5% from school year 2024. I'll now turn the presentation over to Mr. Shockney.
Okay. So board members, the next couple of slides just showcase our progress towards the CCPS strategic plan. Next slide, please. So I broke it up a little bit just to make it a little bit more visual for the presentation here. But we have our overall performances. This is pillar 1 of our strategic plan, which is all around improving academic achievement. And we've specifically targeted grade 3, and we have a target for all students, as well as students experiencing economic disadvantage or students that may receive free or reduced meals, multilingual learners, and our students with disabilities. So if you look over to year 3, which is 25-26, you'll see our targets there and our performance. You will see in each of these areas we did not meet the indicated target, but as we identified earlier, specifically within grade 3, there were lots of areas in which we did make some significant growth and progress. I do look forward to a revised assessment in time. We've adjusted our instruction to be very much aligned with the science of reading. The MCAP assessment arguably is not a science of reading aligned assessment. So we've taken the shift to be better aligned for the next assessment. So I'm optimistic as we go that we will see greater gains for our students. Unfortunately, it will be a place where we'll have apples and oranges and comparison. But again, I look forward to that revised assessment, which I think is more aligned with our instruction. Next slide, please. All right, so this is, again, another priority focus area specifically for Algebra 1, where we did see lots of growth overall in Algebra 1. That was one of the areas in which we had a large growth. It was a 4 percentage point gain. So I'd like to give kudos to our folks working very hard to be able to reach that. We did reach our target for 25-26, which is a great thing. However, our student groups, as identified through the blueprint, students experiencing economic disadvantage, multilingual learners, and our students with disabilities did not. So these, and I don't want to steal Mr. Warnick's thunder as we start to talk about kind of next steps, but obviously we look at this data systemically as a whole, but our schools very much disaggregate this data specifically down to the student level, and they modify and they make plans for intervention and support for our students. So again, optimistic in the future that we'll continue to move forward. Next slide, please. The third part of Pillar 1 specifically focuses on the number of students who meet the college and career readiness standard. If you look there, we had a target of 35% and did very well. I'm pleased to say that 74% of our students have met the CCR standard. Now, this is one that I want to be transparent with the board and the community, anyone watching. The criteria for the CCR standard has changed every single year. And that's okay. The eligibility criteria has been expanded over time, which is a good thing. So that's why we have even more. So again, not a situation where you can necessarily compare one year to the other, but overall, we're seeing lots of students meet that CCR standard, which is a good thing. If you remember back to the presentations that we've done before, there are multiple pathways in which a student can meet that standard. Ideally, that student meets that standard based upon their performance on MCAP. And I envision that continuing over time as we transition to MSTAR. Next slide.
As we look at next steps for both elementary and secondary areas, I'll start with elementary reading. Last year, we implemented our core reading series benchmark advance, and we worked with our teachers to look at how well did the program how well was it implemented throughout our schools? And we realized that there were a lot of units that could be condensed. So we worked this summer to really condense the units, as I shared at our meeting back in the spring. We are also looking at ensuring that all schools have the same interventions. As we look at condensing and improving the master schedule within the elementary level, there are dedicated times, especially for ELA and for math, that will provide interventions to our students who truly are struggling. And we looked at ensuring that all schools have the same interventions so that when students transfer to different schools or when we provide professional development, all teachers are receiving the same professional development on the same interventions for consistency. We also are trying to ensure that all of our all of our teachers are taking the science of reading courses so that they are able to implement those strategies directly in the classroom with first pass instruction, which we call tier 1 instruction, and then with the interventions that our students may need to be supported. And then we also have looked at our scope and sequences and really revised them to ensure that we're following their framework within the Maryland frameworks, but also ensuring that they are aligned to the science of reading to ensure that our teachers understand what they need to teach and then how they need to teach it. Next, within our secondary ELA, we also have implemented a new schedule change this year in our middle schools. And so we actually work closely with the last 2 days with the pilot school teachers to show with them what instruction and interventions would look like in those additional minutes, those 90-minute blocks of especially ELA and math, but then what can be supported or how students can be supported in the science and social studies content as well as we look to more of an A-day, B-day schedule for that. We are looking at interventions as well to ensure that we have appropriate interventions at the middle school level to catch any students that may be struggling as we continue to look through the reading process. And we've also identified a universal screener from pre-K all the way through high school that's the same reading screener so that we can ensure consistency in scores when our students may be struggling across any grade level to provide them the most beneficial intervention and instruction. For elementary mathematics, this year we're looking at piloting a couple high-quality instructional materials core programs to see which would give us the best benefit as we move into the HQIM implementation. We waited to do it this year because we were looking at the frameworks that were changing at the state level, and we're pretty confident that most of the elementary frameworks have been modified and have been adopted at the state board. So that's why we waited this year to really look at our HQIM materials and implementation. We've also are working with our teachers to ensure that they understand the interventions that are provided for the math block to provide students who may be struggling with those interventions, as well as we're looking at alignment, continuously aligning the curriculum to the new MSDE math policies as they continue to change, as I mentioned, within the HUIM implementation. At the secondary level with mathematics, we continue to look at revising our courses to align with the comprehensive math plan, especially in Algebra 1 as we move forward in the next couple years. We've provided professional learning for our teachers to ensure that they understand math concepts within the frameworks of MSDE, as well as ensuring that they understand how to teach math and those interventions within the new block that the middle schools, the 3 pilot middle schools, will be providing next year. We also continue to research for HQIM or high quality instructional materials for secondary math. Although this may be a few years out because the standards and frameworks continue to change within the secondary math program at the State Department. And at this point, we'll take any questions that you may have.
Any, Dr. Malvo?
Let's go back, if we could, all the way back to that slide with M-STAR, if we could. What number?
That was towards the beginning.
It's like the fifth, it should be the fifth.
It is,
Slide 5.
yeah, not labeled.
Pretty impressive how you went through all those slides so quickly. I saw 40
Big,
slides
big
and I was like, whoa.
presentation. So we have a lot to feel good about in terms of assessments and scores and proficiency levels. Being ranked number 2 in ELA, 3 in math, percentage points from being number 1 in science as well. Amazing what farm eligible students are doing, as well as these minority groups, including especially African Americans, with these rankings. So we have M-STAR, though, that's we're transitioning to. It's a 2-year transition. And I'm just trying to understand, well, one, a little bit more about what M-STAR is. I think there was something said in terms of even parental involvement, which I like. But with how we're doing and our success and so forth, should we be concerned that let's not, mess with the system that's in place that's working well? And with M-STAR, how might that affect things? Are we trying to improve upon where we're at now or sustain?
Great questions, Dr. Melville. We're always trying to get better. We're in the business of continuous improvement. So regardless of what the state assessment is, we'll always take that data, compare that with how our students are doing. And it's really the cycle of curriculum, instruction, and assessment that continues to inform and drive each other. So we're always making revisions. We've lived through multiple iterations of state assessments over the years. And each time, the first administration is a period of adjustment. I think the state tries to make sure that that the state assessment is a true, authentic assessment of those state standards. Obviously we have assessment. We have the standards behind the assessment, which we can disaggregate the assessment based on the standard. We compare that with our local assessments and that are aligned to the standard. So we're always triangulating our data. But to answer your question, I welcome a new assessment because I think there are challenges with the current one, not just for Carroll, but I think for other LEAs in Maryland. So I welcome a new one. I hope the new one is aligned and adaptive. These are computer adaptive assessments, but I hope that they are adaptive in a way that works for kids. Because I think that would be, without going down the rabbit hole, I think that's part of the challenge of MCAP. It's adaptive, but I don't know if it's adaptive in the best way for kids. I get the spirit of adaptive assessments and so forth, but no, we welcome a new assessment. We've lived through these before, and I think that we will continue. I mean, our teachers work very hard every day. All the support staff behind our teachers work very hard every day, and that's what we're all about. So, we have standards-aligned instruction, period. And when we teach to the standard and the assessments aligned to the standard, we'll still continue to do well, I would predict.
Great, thanks, appreciate that.
No problem.
And the presentation.
Dr. Dorsey?
I too was going to say something concerning transitioning to the new assessment, and I appreciate what you just said, because I can remember years ago telling staff members, Ms. Papp is always going to be here. And Ms. Papp certainly went by way, as so many others have. It sounds like, again, this will be hopefully more in line with our instruction and with our standards. I did have a question. Again, we have some great results, as have been indicated, and we're certainly, thankful to the hard work that's going into creating those. But I was looking at the elementary ELA and the next steps and promoting the literacy training, and I know we've, been now talking about and really implementing the science of reading.
Yep.
As far as the training of the teachers, do we have a percentage, or all the teachers who teach ELA pretty much trained in the science of reading?
Yes, they will be. It's part of actually their licensure now, and so to have certification and licensure, you actually have to have the reading course. So as their license continues to roll in, they'll also be trained. But yes, we actually report to the state each year how many teachers are a percentage of elementary teachers that are trained. And what's been nice is that MSDE has given us the course free, and it's an online course. I took it several years ago when it first came out, and it really does support the teaching of instruction within reading. I don't have the exact percentage, but each year we do report that, and it is a requirement to keep your license for elementaries.
Mm-hmm. And I know we did have a school recognized last year.
And Dr. Dorsey, we had two. And in addition to that course, we also, there are lots of other trainings that have been made. This has been very helpful through MSD, where they've provided additional options for staff, where they can receive continuing professional learning credits and things. And lots of staff have taken advantage of those. Which has been a good thing as well, too. So kudos to our staff, because, I mean, obviously, they've embraced this, lots of roots in what we've done over the years around the science of reading, but kudos to our staff for really embracing it and taking advantage of, obviously, what we're required to do, but even beyond.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And again, I know it was not too long ago when we implemented the new reading program at the elementary level, and again, you sort of spoke to that. So you did make a comment concerning that, about it maybe needing to be consolidated, or?
Absolutely. We looked at some of the units, and some of them overlap. And so we really want to be precise within our teaching, within teaching the units. And so we want to make sure that what we provide our teachers is consistent and relevant. And so what we did was we took some of the units that overlap and shrunk them so that teachers have a little bit more time to teach certain skills in a compact time period instead of throughout the year, so that students really get that understanding across a specific time area instead of getting it multiple times throughout the year.
If you remember back early to some of our earlier presentations, that was some great feedback that you all had received, that our association has received and shared with us about kind of the time available. So, kudos to Mr. Wernick and his team for, taking that information and adapting to better meet the needs of our staff and kids. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
I would just like to add or clarify the multi-stage adaptive test format. Both MCAP and MSTAR will be adaptive, online adaptive assessments. And so for parents who might be at home thinking, well, what does that look like? Basically, the student sits at the computer, and the question number one will be a question that the student answers, and then if the student gets the question correct, they will be given a question that's a little bit more difficult. If they get that one correct, they get another one that's a little more difficult, and up the chain you go. Same way, if the student gets some of the questions incorrect, then they'll get some other questions that are maybe a little bit below what the first question asked. And so in that way, the student is getting questions that are on the student's instructional level, and it also tells us how they're doing as opposed to this in comparison to the standard that they're working on. And so, as you can imagine, that's a difficult process. And so we're hoping that as adaptive tests go, M-STAR will be adaptive and it will not have some of the glitches that MCAP has had. And our students are very used to now testing on computers. They've been testing on computers for, gosh, I don't know how many years now. So we can take out the problem of could the student not access the content of the assessment because they were not used to the format, the digital format. Our students can pretty much, because they have computers that they're using a lot, they can pretty much get in, get out, and maneuver the assessment appropriately. So that's a good thing.
And one more thing too, this is a record year for receiving our MCAP data results. Typically, this is a presentation that we do typically in September, but there have been years where we've done this in October and November. I will temper expectations. We will not be getting M-STAR data early next year, and that's as is reasonable, I think, in the transition to a new assessment. There'll be range finding and so forth that'll happen. So we will do the same presentation next year, but when we get that data from MSD, so it might be a little bit into the school year next year when we get the data.
I'll watch it on TV.
Ms. Zimmer?
Just a comment on the science in grades 5 and 8 and the overall performance, another huge jump again this year. Memory serves me right, it was a pretty large jump last year.
Yep.
So what is it that we're doing, and can we replicate it across different subjects?
So we, as we share, we're teaching to the standards, and we're making sure that our students actually have access to the science curriculum. Not all counties have the same time allotment that's provided in science, and we ensure that our students have, time for science and for social studies to ensure that they are learning the content. I think it's really about those hands-on activities, but I also think it's about the data that we look at through all our subjects, the achievement meetings that our coordinators and especially our supervisors behind us attend, making sure that the data is relevant and it's out to our teachers and to our administrators to ensure that any students that are struggling, that those interventions can be put in place almost instantaneously of receiving that data so that our students have whatever support they need to master the content.
Excuse me, do you anticipate any kind of drop in the scores with putting more focus and attention on ELA and math next year in the science?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, because we're going to continue to be explicit in our instruction. And as we've always been, and I think that's a key to the growth that we've had over the years, is we've been very explicit. We don't necessarily blur two content areas together to try to do two things at once. We have structured time, and we've even taken that a step further this school year in being even more explicit at the elementary level and some pilot places at the middle school level for our instruction. So I think as long as we're being explicit in our instruction that's aligned with the standard, I think we'll be fine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the hard work that went into this presentation and all the data analysis. I'm very grateful.
Lots of people, many of which are sitting in the back of the room, played a direct role, and lots of people in our schools and beyond that make all this happen.
And I would just add to that, as far as the time for our core content goes, the change that we're talking about publicly right now is the change to give ELA and math more instructional time, and that is coming from MSDE. But what I would like people to be aware of is that throughout the years, as a county, as a district, we have decided how much time to give to each of those subject areas, and it hasn't always been the same. So I know that people are really looking at this as a change, but I just want to offer the perspective that we have been changing the times for our core content areas since I started in education. It's never been the same, for decades. It changes based on our data, what our needs are. and so on. So yes, this is a change. The difference is that this is a statewide change right now, instead of us just saying internally, we're going to give more time to this subject instead of that subject for this next school year.
Ms. Battaglia?
I actually want to thank Ms. Zimmer for bringing up, because that's what I had, was questions regarding the scores and how it would help. And then, Mr. Warnick, you brought up about the intervention. So I'm glad to see that I'm thinking along the same lines as a lot of others on making sure we're identifying students with needs and getting ahead of any issues. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dr. Melva?
One more thing. There's a little anxiety in that, you know, those late nights with my son doing math and trying to figure things out and problems, and they're asking for us to write out, you know, how to solve the problem, because it's not just getting the answer, but the process in terms of solving the problem. And so I'm still trying to, you know, connect this with MSTAR in terms of this is going to be a big online testing approach and so forth, but do we still take into consideration pencil to paper and, you know, problem solving in that way, and does that translate to this, how does that translate to this, and that not being ignored, and that not being thrown aside?
Most definitely. And if you were to observe a student taking the current MCAP assessment, yes, they're working and entering their answers through the computer, but you would also see them doing lots of handwritten work to be able to arrive at that answer, especially when it comes to computation or a multi-step problem, those kinds of things. So, and that's a great point. But to try to articulate for a citizen, that it's not when a student's working on that computer, it's just not the computer and the student. That's it. But they're definitely working through, oftentimes multi-step, problems where they're solving things and working out things by hand, and it's just a matter of selecting the answer. But it's required of the student. You can't just get to the answer and a lot of our questions without doing so. Same thing is true when it comes to the ELA assessments as well, especially with the writing component that goes along with it. Communication is always a big part of this, whether it's reading, whether it's ELA, whether it's math or science or social studies even. Lots of communication there involved. So that's a great point, Dr. Malva.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, colleagues? I had a question, and again, if we could just boil it down for the parents at home. The results we have today, how do these compare to like pre-COVID, and are we back to where we were pre-COVID, and how much higher have we come back?
Yeah, I think we've recovered to where we are and are starting to go forward in some areas. I think there are some other areas, as the data clearly identified, are students with disabilities in lots of places. There's some gaps emerging there. So that's definitely a target for all of our schools, for our Office of Special Education as well as general education too as well. So that's a shared approach there, but that's a good example of a group of students where probably need to be targeting a little bit more. And you've heard me say this before. The power for that is in the student's individualized plan. It's hard to come up with a one-size-fits-all approach in special education. They just don't exist. If they did, we'd all do it, and that would be that. But it's the powers in those individualized plans and supports, and the modifications of those as students make progress. Shifting into that next skill that student requires to be able to narrow that gap. So yeah, I mean, there's lots to celebrate as always, but there's also definite areas that we will and shall and are targeting. And it's hard to put all into a presentation, all the things that happen, district-wide, at each school, at each team within the school, and in each teacher's classroom. We have structures that are all, and we're working to improve those even, to make that data analysis and utilization and planning even more strategic for our kids. But, definitely this is not just a district exercise. Our school directors and all of our cabinet members work closely with their departments, And that trickles down to what happens with our school improvement planning process, what our teams do and what we call our wildly important goals, or our WIGs, where teams are setting specific goals based upon their student achievement data that teachers take even further into their own work and what they do in their SLOs and other things as well too. So very much an aligned structure, and this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg for as an example.
Yeah, I was up here poking in my, using ChatGPT, right? Shoot me for using AI, but I was just comparing, like our ELA score in 2021 was 56 combined, and this year it's 68. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Math was 35, today it's 42. I mean, we still have a lot of improvement there, but I couldn't really do a comparison with science because it was MISA, now science. But so again, just for me, I'm just curious. We went into a deep hole into COVID, and I'm just curious how far we've come out.
Yeah, I think we're out of it. I think it's just, as always, and Dr. McCabe said this well, we make adjustments every year, and we'll continue to make adjustments every year. And 5 years from now, we'll be talking about the things that we did differently from now, and that's the business just in which that we're in. So again, the power is all in, great curriculum, great instruction, and good assessment that evaluates it all. And as long as that cycle is working and we're collaborating with each other, engaging with parents, which are a big part of all of this, kids are working hard, we'll continue to make positive strides.
Well, again, well done, everybody. Again, I've been talking to colleagues across the state, and many on the Eastern Shore in particular they haven't climbed out yet. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have one question as well as a comment. Thank you so much for this presentation. It really gave great insight into how well both our students as well as our teachers and administrators are doing with this. One question is coming towards the new testing. Will students and teachers as well have availability to practice test and resources prior to these assessments? Because I know when we switched between computers and paper, that was a big difference. And I think in this case as well, student nerves might be a little nervous coming into this and seeing the new adjustment. So will we have resources available?
Yeah, we hope so. There's still lots to be learned through this. There's even been discussion that there'd be even assessments that districts could utilize early in the school year that could align to kind of the summative or end of, kind of end of course assessment, or the MSTAR assessment. So I don't want to get too far ahead of that because nothing's been, finalized yet. But I think that's the hope of this. But yes, there should be sample, items that come out and opportunities for students to engage. But to help alleviate student anxiety with this, when a student works hard, does their work, they're going to be ready for the assessment. That's, the students, if they stay focused, do their jobs, they're going to be okay. And I know that's always, assessments can be high stakes for our kids, and I don't want to create anxiety, but, students do their work, get good grades, they're going to do just fine on our state assessment.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and show up to school. That's huge.
And come to school. That's important.
Any other questions, colleagues? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda are reports. Dr. McCabe.
Based on board policy and administrative regulations, BDF, each August we report on the agenda topics and tentative meeting schedules for the 7 board-appointed advisory councils. Items 4A through 4G are the reports of the upcoming focus areas or agenda topics for each of the 7 advisory councils. We won't read each of them to you. However, the staff liaison for each council is present this evening and can answer any questions that you may have. Also, each of you serve as the board member liaisons to various councils. So if you wish to make a comment on the council in which you serve regarding the topics for the upcoming school year, please feel free to do so.
Thank you. Our first one is the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee. Any questions or comments about that committee? Dr. Malvin?
Yeah, I have the pleasure of being the representative for that committee. And I read through this, and I appreciate in particular one of the bullets to an overview is to foster open dialogue among families, educators, service providers, administrators, and community partners regarding the needs of students with disabilities. With that, and with the different overview or bullet points, I was just wondering if, and I'm not sure who I'd be asking this to. Am I asking someone in particular, or just
It would be Miss Whittle.
Miss Whittle? Okay. Thanks, Chris. So my thoughts in all of this is great, but will we also provide the opportunity, the avenue for parents to discuss IEPs and maybe how they work? What should I do? I've had even parents come to me and ask if I can go to IEP meetings to discuss it. My son has an IEP, and so forth. But what to expect, what they should, be able to ask with their IEPs and so forth. Is any of that kind of going to?
So we have a few different avenues. The one that probably works better for what you're talking about is through our family support. So Tammy Chisholm, who's our parent educator, offers workshops throughout the entire year. We also have our resource and transition fair that also has workshops at it. And each year there is always something on the IEP basics. There are also workshops on behavior, on transitioning to adult life, after your IEP, those types of things, legal, financial, different types of topics that are sent out to parents monthly in a newsletter if their child has an IEP.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Even after, the IEP and the whole process in school, where do they go from there? What are the, career opportunities? Where is their training to continue even after school is complete?
And both of the family support and CCAC have community partners that are some of our agency partners like the ARC that attend those meetings. So families also have the opportunity to make those relationships as well.
All right. Well, thank you for all the wonderful work that you all are doing.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Our next committee is the Curriculum Council. And any questions or comments?
I'll just comment that it's a wonderful committee to be a part of. And again, always interesting, relevant topics. And we certainly thank Mr. Wernick and the team for work on this particular committee. And again, like I said, it's always relevant and a lot of participation, a lot of input from community members and our students. I think the student input has really been big for us this past year. So I'm looking forward to attending the meetings again this year.
I echo Dr. Dorsey's comments. I am her backup, so I get to just attend as a secondary pretty often. And Mr. Warnick, you don't have to get up. I just wanted to say how much I appreciated bringing back the videos for the high school level novels this year. I know it was something that had been done in the past, but it hadn't happened on my previous 2 years on that council. So I really appreciated that. It helped us really wrap our arms around those novels to understand what the books were about, what value they were bringing to the teacher who was suggesting them. So kudos to that. I hope to see that again this year. Thank you.
Any other comments? Our next committee is the Family Life Advisory Committee. I'm the board rep for that. Again, I just want to appreciate everyone's efforts on that committee. It's a lot of give and take, a lot of conversation. And again, Mr. Wernick, thank you for your efforts there, you and the staff. Anybody else have any questions or concerns about the FLAC?
Yeah, I kind of serve as your backup, their backup. Yeah, I think it's, it says something that our county is the only county that offers 3 different options in terms of family life curriculum or curricula. And that, we continue to give options to our students, to our teachers, to our county members. So I appreciate the open thoughts, the open-mindedness to continue forth.
Thank you. And our next committee, probably the gem of our county and the state, is the Career and Technical Education Committee. I believe that's you, Ms. Battaglia, correct?
Great committee. This has been such a wonderful opportunity to bring local community members from various businesses, various backgrounds and professional areas that come to the table, and they have a lot to offer for this committee, and especially our Career and Technology Center and different avenues for our students. So absolutely fantastic, and I look forward to continue serving on it.
Thank you. Our next committee is the Community Advisory Council. That's also yours, Ms. Battaglia.
Yes, another one, a great committee. This one, each representative is chosen from the administrators at each individual school. Wonderful way for everyone to take information back to their each individual school communities, whether that be the PTA, PTO, or parent boosters. Fantastic topics. There's always a lot of discussion, but it's also making sure the correct information is given to our community members to make sure it's distributed.
Thank you. Sure. Okay.
I just also want to thank Ms. Jordan and Ms. Porter for being there at our CAC meetings, because as Ms. Battaglia just shared, it's a wonderful time of sharing information, discussing important issues, and so having different stakeholders there who can add to the conversation and make sure that the information is accurate is always appreciated.
Thank you. Our next, anybody? Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that.
I'd like to continue what the other board members have been saying. It was honestly a really great experience as the student rep-elect to really get myself started into this position, and it was a great opportunity to reflect student voices back to CCSGA meetings. I remember a few times I had texted into our group chat and asked for polls, so that way before I went to the meeting I could correctly and accurately reflect student voice, and then in the same time bring back the points that had been discussed there and say, hey, are you guys struggling with these issues at your school? I'd ask around my school, I'd ask around with the CCSGA members. So I would just like to emphasize how this really is a great opportunity, not only for the parents and other stakeholders, but also for the students as well.
Great. Our next committee, if I haven't skipped one, is the Teacher Advisory Council, correct? That's my committee. Again, Mr. Shockney, thank you for your leadership there. I will tell you, every time I go to one of these meetings, our educators in action are just amazing. Just the care and the concern and the commitment they have to kids, students, improving processes, and just the care they have for one another. It really is a terrific collaborative environment, and so a great, probably one of the best committees I think we have in our system. Dr. Dorsey, you go to those occasionally when you're able. Do you have any comments?
No, I don't have a comment at this time. Again, I wasn't actively involved last year on the committee, but again, it's always good to see what the agenda topics are, and I know when I did participate the year before, again, as you're saying, just some wonderful communications and collaborations from all of the members who are involved.
Thank you. And then finally, we have our Security Advisory Council. I believe that's you, Ms. Zimmer, correct? Or is that Ms. Battaglia? Yep.
Again, great committee that we have here. A lot of explanation of the whys things occur, because so many parents don't understand the whys for things. So this committee has been fantastic with explaining in a sensitive way why things occur the way they do, and I'm so appreciative of Mr. Pierce in the back who is part of that. It's been, it's great, and I look forward to serving on it again.
Yeah, again, I have to echo that. When I think about things that have happened, like at Northwest a couple of years ago, last year, and just some of the security upgrades and some of the thoughtful processes that you have put into place to protect our students, and the way we apply the funds and resources we give you is just masterful. Thank you very much.
Dr. Malvo's got a question.
Dr. Malvo, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a general question for Mr. Pierce. And I've been to a couple of the meetings and really fascinated with the technology now that's going into security and so forth. But my general question is, for parents, for students, and so forth, what do we need to be most vigilant about or concerned about in terms of security or security risk going in? Because it always seems like there's something each school year that's a little bit different of a security risk. Is there anything that we should be aware of, vigilant in terms of our?
I don't know that I should specifically say
That's a security risk to answer that
to the
question, I
public,
suppose.
in general, because inevitably somebody's watching and going to be like, aha, gotcha. What I would say, Dr. Malvo and board members, it's something that has been echoed for many years, even prior to me getting in the position, is, and you said it, technology is changing. And the way in which we, as you said, Mr. Whistler, the way that we fund the programs and things we have, the upkeep of what we have, to be able to do the projects that we've done, it's a lot of work. Money was thrown at us early on with the Safe to Learn Act, and that has stopped. And so to be able to keep up with those things, that is the biggest challenge for me and for our office. With a team of two, we lean on a lot of folks to do a lot of things. And we just have very limited resources, to include finances, to be able to do the things that I envision doing and would love to do, what other counties and districts are doing. To me, that's something that I think we need to focus on, truly. That's how I'm able to mitigate any risk that I'm aware of, the ones that are out there.
Great.
I think the best advice you always give is stay vigilant.
Yes.
Whether if you see something, say something.
Right, and I just met with all of the principals and APs, and that's been echoed again from all the directors as well. We do a great job with our team, and we are one giant team. It's not just myself and Mr. Elliott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And again, I like how we approach security. It's not just when they're here in our schools. It's from the second they walk to that bus stop to the second they get off that bus. So it's not just the schools, it's the bus drivers, it's our contractors. There's a lot that goes into security, and I appreciate you doing all that. Any other comments or questions before we move on to the next topic? All right, that brings us to public participation. I'll turn it over to Dr. Dorsey.
Okay, for public participation, to have an orderly presentation of comments by the public, the following guidelines apply. Number one, speakers with a connection to CCPS will be allowed to address the board for the allotted 3 minutes. Only those speakers that have registered online and have been notified by the Communications Department will be permitted to speak. Priority will be given to those citizens that are addressing the board about an item on the current agenda. Citizens not appearing in person for public comment can write to the board through email or U.S. mail. Number two, public participation is not intended to be a question and answer session. However, if citizens have specific questions, the superintendent will assign a staff member to make contact during the board meeting to arrange a time to respond to questions. Number three, the superintendent/board reserve the right to correct misinformation presented as factual after the conclusion of the public participation period. Number four, statements to the board should relate to a recent agenda item, an agenda item that is expected to appear in the future, or a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Personnel matters, pending appeals, the actions or statements of individual staff, or items related to employee negotiations are not appropriate topics and may not be discussed. Number five, the board has scheduled time on the agenda for public participation at approximately 5:15 p.m. The board reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic so that all topics may be addressed. Additionally, the board retains the discretion to allow additional speakers as it deems appropriate. The board is allowing no more than an hour for public participation. Number 6, comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. All comments should be directed to the board members at the dais. Citizens may only address the board with their individual comments. Citizens may not stand in for another person or group and read their comments. When the allotted time expires, the speaker is permitted to complete a sentence. Citizens may leave any handouts for board members on the table at the back of the boardroom. Please do not approach the dais. Additionally, the public may not display signs or posters during the board meeting. In lieu of signs, or if you are unable to complete your comments in the allotted time, individuals are encouraged to submit remarks to the board in writing. And finally, number 7, those seated in the audience are asked to be respectful of the speaker and refrain from commenting to the speaker or to the board members. So with that in mind, we are ready to hear from our speakers for this evening. We do have 4. Our first speaker is Shannon Hinkhouse.
Good evening, Dr. McCabe and board members. I'm Shannon Hinkhouse, and I'm a former CCPS parent and current candidate for the Board of Education. I have heard many parents express concern over screens in schools, and since we're beginning another school year, I think it's important we continue this discussion. I am not naive about how screens are used in everyday life and across all sectors of employment. But to me, as adults, it is our job to ensure our children get what they need and to be intentional about how we treat them and support their growth and education. The one-to-one policy was not intentional. It was thrust upon us under the duress of COVID. It is beyond time to reassess the one-to-one policy for grades 3 through 5 and 6 through 8. Tech will look different at each stage, but it is time we get serious about ensuring it is improving and not hindering student success and child development. Last August, I emailed a suggestion to you to form a technology committee to address these issues and all issues that will be coming down the pike surrounding technology and AI. A year later, I wonder if a tech committee is truly needed or if I just need to keep encouraging each of you to make addressing technology a priority. The work session was a good start, but it left many questions unanswered. It is alarming to me that behind integrating laptops into core classes is the notion that it's just the way the world is now. Is that how we as adults function when it comes to children? I don't think so. We have a say in how their world works, and we can determine how and when it is beneficial for students to use laptops. For example, in middle school, they are heavily reliant on the Schoology platform. Students don't even need to record and manage their own assignments any longer. It's done for them. These are basic life skills that we all developed as students and now are being automated. That is not helpful to the child. They still need to do all the grunt work and can graduate to the next level once those skills have been mastered. Please reassess how we are doing things here in Carroll. Did you know that even Baltimore County does not have a one-to-one laptop policy? They still use carts. I strongly urge you to have some serious discussions beyond what was addressed at the one work session you had earlier this year. I know children in CCPS are not sitting in front of a screen all day, every day. But I also know that a good education begins with pencil, paper, and an active, engaged teacher and produces adults who can adapt to technology in the workforce and have the knowledge and critical thinking skills to be successful in whatever they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Timothy Redmond.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe and board. It's like using a sledgehammer to carve a statue versus a chisel. What am I talking about? The efforts to modify the elementary education schedule to achieve the objectives of increasing proficiency in math and ELA. As a consequence, the elimination of dedicated daily class time for science and social studies. We're aiming to make a masterpiece, but I believe we'll just end up with a pile of rubble. We'll be doing a disservice to our students. Last month, I was before you discussing these proposed changes, and I will once again voice my dissent to these changes. And I believe the MCAP results and the overall MCAP presentation compel me to come back this month to speak more on this topic. I realize the slide summary don't tell the whole story, but here is what I generally gathered. There were slight improvements in ELA and math MCAP scores. Carroll scored high relative to the state, number 2 in ELA, number 3 in math, number 2 in science. Multilingual, and kudos, of course, goes to our staff and teachers for all their efforts to make that a reality. Multilingual, economically disadvantaged, and students with disabilities had low proficiency rates. And for as much as we rail on Blueprint, to my understanding, the changes brought forth by Blueprint are aimed to provide more resources to assist those populations. And for ELA, on a grade-by-grade basis, Carroll scores generally stayed consistent, a good sign that no particular grade was faltering. All grades had higher scores than state levels. Same was experienced for math scores. On a grade-by-grade basis, Carroll's scores generally stayed consistent, and were above the state average. And as I looked to the presentation and saw that the new MSTAR testing was coming into place, I noticed there was a bullet point for science and social studies. These will be tested subjects. So continuing to build a love for these topics early on in the elementary levels is beneficial for student instruction and for appreciation of those topics, but also ultimately for testing scores. So going back to what I said at the start, why are we blowing up the daily schedule related to science and social studies to give more time to ELA and math enrichment? Fatigue will set in for students with more ELA math time. Students learn less overall. We do them a disservice. Science and social studies provide sparks for students to get interested in math and reading, and science and social studies are eventually tested subjects. At today's presentation, the staff said, we can be explicit with our instruction to keep science and social studies scores up high, which my ears hear as teach to the test. But why can't we translate that to math and ELA? Let's be more proficient in teaching those topics to help increase the scores and keep the same amount of time so we can preserve social studies and science time. I have to imagine we can find more creative ways to utilize existing time for ELA and math to help students in those subjects, with the aim of increasing test scores in those subjects as well, while preserving the social studies and science time, providing that well-rounded educational environment that we all envision for our students and is at the core of the mission of CCPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lisa Massano.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Massano, and I'm a mom to 3 children in the school system. I'm also a candidate for the Board of Education, but today I wanted to share some observations as a parent of a 10th grader and 2 7th graders. I'm an engineer by training, so I like math, and I have done quite a few math problems over the years. I am also involved with my children's education and pay attention to their schoolwork and the grades, and several things have stuck out to me over the years concerning math. First, it is a struggle to get them to show all of their work on paper. I tell my kids until I'm blue in the face to show their work, but it is not a habit for them. Somehow, they seem to write less down. Particularly when doing IXL or Delta Math for homework, they should start by writing the problem and doing all of their work on paper. Last year, my son had a bound math workbook for his high school class, which I thought was a great idea. It kept all his notes in one place, and I would like to see that practice expanded for other grades. Secondly, they do not do nearly the amount of math practice that I did in elementary and middle school. I think the majority of students need additional practice in order to really master a skill, whether it be worksheets, IXL, or Delta Math. Lastly, I am a big proponent of learning from your mistakes. Math tests are done on the computer, and although a score is visible, the work and exact reason a student lost points is not apparent. It has been my family's experience that the only way that you can see what you did wrong is to schedule a time with a teacher to go over the test, since they are not permitted to send them home. This presents a barrier to learning from your mistakes. On more than one occasion, I have used the parent-teacher conference time as an opportunity to go over my child's math tests. Without seeing what my child did wrong, I struggle to reinforce those concepts that they need more practice with at home. While I understand the need to practice for required computerized testing, I feel that paper and pencil assignments and tests would give students better mastery of the material. Similar to the days of Scantrons, you could have students do their work on paper and then transfer over their answers to the computer for grading. As I learn more about the new math policy and revising the school schedules to allow for additional small groups and individualized supports for students, I believe a greater focus on rigorous math, rigorous paper and pencil-based practice can help our students be more successful in math. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our final speaker for the evening is Sharon Wilhide.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Wilhide, and I am a parent to 2 CCPS students and a candidate for the Board of Education. Although there are many topics I could address this evening, I'm here to speak about special education. According to the most recent, which it works out perfectly with the presentation, MCAP scores that were just released, overall achievement in elementary, middle, and high schools in both ELA and math demonstrated a lot of improvement in a lot of areas, except for students with disabilities. When looking at the trend for ELA for all students over the last 3 years, all students improved, going from 64.8% in 2024 to 67.5% in 2026. However, students with disabilities went from 16.4% in 24 to 14.2% in 2026. The same trend can be seen in math. Over the last 3 years, all students going from 37.7 to 41.9, but students with disabilities went from 11.7 to 9.6. Looking at the special education staffing plan over the past 3 years, specifically special education teachers, there has been no change in staffing. At the elementary level, there have been 100 teachers, middle school 48, and high school 55, consistently for fiscal years 24, 25, and 26. Now, I understand the number of students changes year to year, but I could not find any data regarding the service hours of those students. In the world of special ed, it's not about the number of students on a caseload, but the service hours that those students require and are legally entitled to. The staffing plan is a fluid document that incorporates room for changes in a little chart at the bottom. So as a board, I ask, what are you doing to make those changes? We cannot continue down the same path and expect that there will be improvements. Special education is struggling. Many parents have reached out to me for different schools all across the county experiencing similar difficulties. Special ed services are limited because the caseloads are not manageable. Service providers are not supported. At some schools, students are even denied services or accommodations. Educators and administrators are afraid to speak up for fear of retaliation. At previous board meetings, students and adults have spoken about the failure of special ed services, and the board's response was to get defensive and say how great our special ed services are. Yet, numbers don't lie. In education, we love our data. As educators, we use data to drive instruction. So if you look at the data, we are failing our special education population. We need to do something. Approximately 12.5% of CCPS students receive special education. But if students are not receiving the services that they need to succeed, it impacts everyone. If a student receiving special education is in the general ed classroom and struggling, that has an impact on the entire classroom. It's happening everywhere at every school, and we need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public participation for the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dorsey, and thank you for those that spoke today. Next, we'll move to employee groups. Nice to see you.
It's good to be seen. Thank you, Mr. Whistler. Before I begin my remarks tonight, I just want to say a welcome back to the 10-month education and support professionals in our county. Many of them have worked through the summer as well, and their contributions to our students are invaluable, so I just wanted to give a special welcome back to them. Good evening, Superintendent McCabe and members of the Board of Education. I am Cindy Porter, a veteran special education paraprofessional and president of CASE, representing clericals, paraprofessionals, and assistants working throughout Carroll County Public Schools. In the blink of an eye, summer break is coming to an end. Firemen's carnivals, numerous festivals, and the Carroll County 4-H and FFA Fair are fond memories in the rearview mirror for many as we head toward this upcoming school year. Educators and students are anxious and a little uncertain about what the coming school year holds. While there is always uncertainty about what lies ahead, this year holds more uncertainty for assistants and paraprofessionals in our school system, as this is the first time since before the pandemic that many of these staff members will not have dedicated computers or other devices. Why is this a concern? Dedicated devices are how staff get time-sensitive emails from administrators. They have also been utilized to alert affected staff members of updates for parent pickup lists at the elementary level, alert assistants and paraprofessionals of fire drills so they can have appropriate headphones ready for noise-sensitive students, and also have the opportunity to prepare these students in advance of the drill in order to prevent sudden behavior issues when the loud alarms go off. These dedicated devices have also been utilized to support student learning in classrooms at every level with technology reinforcement of key concepts for students, to help students with scientific labs in our secondary settings, and also give assistants and paraprofessionals the ability to switch gears at a moment's notice because of testing situations, IEP changes, meetings, and continual schedule changes. These examples are just the tip of the iceberg of ways dedicated devices have allowed assistants and paraprofessionals to be more efficient and responsive to changes happening with our students and also in the classrooms. This past budget season was filled with a lot of considerations and debates, especially around dedicated devices for students. What grades need dedicated devices? What grades are dedicated devices appropriate for? And other questions of that nature. But what is most troubling about the last-minute decision to remove dedicated devices for assistants and paraprofessionals is that, as president of CASE and representative of the entire bargaining unit, when learning of this decision, I was informed that it was made to save money. Yet this discussion was never a part of those budget discussions. Going backwards to an access model is going to require time to be built into already packed schedules. At the beginning of this school year, that means that time is going to need to be allocated for approximately 750 CASE bargaining unit members to complete Safe Schools training. As an example, that will take about 6 hours for myself to complete with the required courses assigned to me. As an example of impact on already packed schedules, last year as a special education paraprofessional, I ended the school year on my 45th schedule. Not including my morning and afternoon duties, my breaks, and my duty-free lunch, I was in 13 to 14 different time slots across my school every day in order to help fulfill IEP requirements. This access model is going to require time for affected staff to travel to the access point and then have sufficient time to check and review emails, etc. How can this not take away from our time with students? I am honored to be president of CASE and representative of this bargaining unit. Since staff were informed on June 11th, the day before the last day of school, members of our bargaining unit have communicated their concerns about not being able to provide the level of service to our students because of this decision. Their dedication and student-centered focus have been forefront in their communications to me. These education support professionals are a critical component in the education of the students in our county, and they feel their ability to impact students in the manner they have been able to in the past several years is being compromised by this decision. We've all been doing more with less, but at what expense in this case? Thank you.
Fondly remembering my time on the knee scooter. Okay, good evening, Superintendent and board members. As we begin, I'm Celeste Jordan, President of CCEA. As we begin another school year, I look forward to welcoming the newest members of our Carroll County Public Schools family tomorrow at new teacher orientation. To our new educators, welcome to Carroll County. You are joining a profession that is both challenging and incredibly rewarding. You are joining colleagues who care deeply about their students, their schools, and their communities. You are also joining a community of educators who will support you, advocate for you, and stand beside you as you begin this important chapter of your career. We are glad you are here. But as we welcome our newest educators, I also want to recognize the educators who have been here for decades, those who have dedicated their careers to Carroll County students. These veteran educators have continued to show up year after year through changing expectations, increasing workloads, new initiatives, staffing challenges, and the many demands placed on public education. They have mentored new colleagues, supported students and families, and helped make our schools the places our communities depend on. And yet we must acknowledge a difficult reality. Today marks 711 days since nearly 20% of the CCA bargaining unit received a salary increase. That number represents more than a statistic. It represents educators who have spent years serving Carroll County students and who deserve to see their experience and commitment reflected in their compensation. We should be able to welcome new educators and retain experienced educators. These goals are not in conflict. In fact, they are inseparable. Our newest educators need experienced colleagues to mentor them. Our students benefit from educators who developed years of knowledge and experience. And our school system benefits when talented educators choose to build their careers here rather than leave for opportunities elsewhere. As we begin this school year, I hope we can focus on both ends of that equation, attracting new educators to Carroll County and making sure the educators who already committed their careers to our students have a reason to stay. This year also brings an important opportunity for CCA and CCPS, as we'll be entering full negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. And we sincerely hope those negotiations will be collaborative, robust, and productive. We know that we will not always come to the table with the same perspectives or priorities. That is the purpose of collective bargaining. But we can approach the process with mutual respect, a willingness to listen, and share a shared understanding that we all want the same fundamental thing: strong public schools where students can thrive and educators can build successful careers. At last month's board meeting, Superintendent McCabe reminded us that we should never take our collaboration for granted. I think that's an important message as we begin the new round of negotiations. CCA agrees collaboration is something that must be valued, protected, and continually strengthened. It requires both sides to come to the table, again, willing to listen, to understand different perspectives, and to work towards solutions. CCA comes to negotiations ready to have those difficult conversations. We're ready to listen, ready to problem solve, and ready to advocate strongly for the educators we represent. We hope the board and administration will come to the table with that same spirit of collaboration, with a commitment to finding meaningful solutions to the challenges facing our educators and our school system. Every educator deserves to know that their work is valued, not just in words, but through meaningful compensation and working conditions that recognize the importance of the work we do. So tonight, I welcome the newest educators to Carroll County. We are glad you are here, and we hope that you build a long, rewarding career in our schools. And to the veteran educators who have continued to serve our students year after year, thank you. Your experience, dedication, and commitment matter. Carroll County is stronger because you stayed here. Let's make this a school year in which we demonstrate that we value both the educators who are just beginning their careers and the educators who have spent years building the foundations on which our schools stand. To our students, welcome back. Hope you've had a summer filled with time to relax, explore, make memories, enjoy being with family and friends, and again, I hope lots of reading, as Ms. Zimmer mentioned. Whether you walking through the doors of CCPS school for the first time or returning to a familiar classroom, we hope you know that your teachers, support staff, counselors, administrators, and school communities are excited to see you in a few weeks. A new school year brings new opportunities to learn something new, make new friends, discover a new interest, or simply become a little more confident in who you are and what you can accomplish. We wish all of our students a wonderful school year and hope that they know that their educators are here to support them every step of the way. On another note, Maya Angelou said, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." That is an important lesson for all of us, but especially our students. Pay attention to how people treat you and how they treat others. Choose friends who treat you with kindness and respect, and strive to be the kind of person whose actions make your character clear. Choose friends who are positive influences in real life and on social media, and remember what you post on social media is forever. Have a good year.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the next section of our agenda, which is action items. May I have a motion for the approval of award of bids?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey, seconded by?
I'll second.
Ms. Battaglia. Dr. McCabe.
There are 3 items on the award of bids this evening. First, a bid to furnish and install a new sound system in the auditorium at Century High School. The original system has failing components, and after an assessment, we determined it best to replace the system rather than to pursue ongoing maintenance. Second, the annual contract with the Carroll County Health Department to provide the required vision and hearing screening for students that we do each year. And third, the purchase and installation of playground equipment at Eldersburg Elementary School. This purchase is a combination of PTO fundraising as well as a grant secured by the District 5 delegation.
Any comments or concerns from colleagues? Again, with regards to number 1, I've gotten a lot of calls from Century parents. They're loving it. The word's already out. And again, I want to thank our delegation in Annapolis for securing the legislative bond initiative for the playground at Eldersburg. So thanks to them for their collaboration and partnership with our school system. If no other questions or comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, may I have a motion for the approval of the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee membership?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia. Second by Dr. Malvo. Dr. McCabe.
Also, as a part of policy BDF, each August we bring for your action the recommended membership roster for each of the 7 advisory councils. Action items 6B through 6H are the recommended memberships for each of the councils. We will need the board to make a motion and approve each council's membership individually.
Any questions or concerns for the CCAC?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call the questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, colleagues, may I have a motion to approve the Curriculum Council membership?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey.
Second.
Second by Ms. Battaglia. Is there any question or concerns or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Next, may I have a motion to approve the Family Life Advisory Committee membership?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia. May I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? Ms. Zimmer.
My Christian faith teaches me that every human being is created in the image of God, and that God shows no favoritism, that one day people from every nation, tribe, people, and language will stand together before him. Racism, whether directed toward black people, white people, or anyone else, is fundamentally incompatible with those beliefs. We can disagree on policy, politics, and ideology, but we should never reduce a person's worth or character to the color of their skin. I want to be very clear. I will listen. While I did vet my appointments for this committee, I acknowledge that my review did not go back 7 years, and that as a result, I did not uncover some atrocious material. That said, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to those who did bring it to light just yesterday afternoon. Ultimately, we're united in wanting the most qualified and ethical individuals serving in roles where they can best support our children in meaningful ways. In light of this information, I'm rescinding Krista Schultz's name from consideration, and I'll bring forward a new name from the list of applicants at the next month's meeting.
Ms. Battaglia.
Ms. Zimmer, thank you so much for your words. It is important as a board that as a body, there be full transparency and accountability. I do not want to trample on anyone's First Amendment rights. Those that applied last year are volunteers. While I understand the public having concerns, because we received a lot of concerns regarding everything. I do want to give a warning. Be very careful what you wish for. If the public wants this board to vet volunteers with past and present social media posts, the same should apply to CCPS employees. We cannot ask someone to be removed from a position that makes recommendations for curriculum and have employees remain for doing the same exact thing. I do agree with Ms. Zimmer, and I also warn the public because many need to review their social medias of their past or present posts that can be seen as insensitive. So, Ms. Zimmer, I do second your regarding.
If I can, as a point of order, our Family Life Advisory Committee is an appointed committee, so our board members have the right to withdraw, and there will be no amendment necessary for this. I've already talked with counsel, and he concurs with my assessment. So again, there is no need for an amendment, and if Ms. Zimmer wishes to rescind her appointment, she's welcome to do so. Any other comments about this issue?
Yes, I do have concerns regarding an individual at member at large, Ms. Hart. Ms. Hart did not apply last year for the application process. And this board has made precedents before where if there was a vacancy, we went with the previous applications from the year prior.
Okay.
So I am asking that someone else be picked from the applicants we had received last year.
If I'm not mistaken, I selected her, and I do not wish to rescind her name. I know that that is an issue. I've already talked with staff about this issue, and apparently there is no written requirement that somebody be in the pool that has applied. Am I correct in stating that?
Correct.
Yes, okay, I am correct. So again, I appreciate the concern. Are there any other concerns?
Can you repeat what you just said? Did you say that they did not have to be a part of the pool?
That is correct. Yep.
So we could select other people, whether they applied to be on the committee or not?
That appears to be, yes, ma'am. I spoke with superintendent, assistant superintendent.
I didn't know that was a practice.
The reason for that is that in this case, we had an at-large member who stepped off the committee after year one of a 2-year membership on the committee. So her membership was not over. If she would have done her 2 years, then we would have looked to do the regular process. But because it was only after 1 year, we looked at whoever the board member was who had appointed the person who was voluntarily stepping down so that he could recommend a new appointment.
And he did not have to go to the pool of people who had applied.
Correct. That's not a written policy, Mr. Shockney?
Your guidelines are silent on this scenario in which there would be a vacancy mid-year, the 2-year term. So it doesn't explicitly state anything for the process for filling for a mid-year or a mid-term vacancy.
Just a question. In years past, when this has come up, is there a precedent for this? I'm just curious. The only reason I ask is we have 100 people who applied. If I understand there's not a policy, it doesn't feel fair to those 100 people who took the time to submit. So I'm just sorry, just asking for clarification.
In the past, usually if there's an opening, the person is selected from those who have applied in the past.
Yeah, I didn't think we had another option. I thought we always had to refer to that list of folks who had applied.
Well, in honesty or transparency, I'm going to be voting no on approving the Family Life Committee.
Is there any other discussion? So I'll make some comments. Just to piggyback off what Ms. Battaglia said, it's really unfortunate that people do things in their past and say things that they may have said when they were younger. I'm a man of faith and a man that believes in forgiveness and redemption. And I'm also a man that believes in First Amendment rights of free speech, but there are limits, no question. But it is really a shame how we have a small group of people who insist on character assassination, cancellation, cancel culture, people in glass houses throwing stones, and I've read many of the emails that have been sent, and many of those people that have sent emails, first of all, many did not even reside in our county. It was a network of activists responding to a call. And number two, some of those people writing responses have said such horrific things about me, personally, calling me a swinger, calling me a wife beater, calling me someone that has been homophobic and racist to students. Just ridiculous accusations to rile up the pack, to get them to send in emails, to influence, without holistically looking at a person's total character, total service. We have many people on these committees that have social media activity that's just absolutely horrendous and sickening. So, again, to Ms. Battaglia's point, be careful what you wish for. Be careful of the stones you throw, because many of you live in glass houses. So I'll stop editorializing, and I'll end it there. But I respect Ms. Zimmer's right to rescind her nominee, and I hope you respect my right to not rescind mine.
If I can just, when you said, there was a couple emails of things that were stated that were completely false, like false claims. Number one, the individual is not a Board of Ed candidate. The individual was already on the committee. The one became a candidate while on the committee. So that's already been set. It's only one change that was put forth to us. The member at large is just that, a member of the community that applied to be on the committee. They wanted to. They put forth the effort. And that's something that we put in place many years ago for who was going to be on the committee, and each individual board member got to choose a member at large. That was it. Didn't matter whether they were part of the school system, didn't matter what their professions were. It was a fact of they were a member of the community. And my final thing is, if you want to make assumptions of someone's past, I hope their past is a perfect path. And just as you said, Mr. Whistler, some of the comments that were made from certain individuals, whether they're staff members, whether they're other community members, they have said some pretty disgusting things when it was Charlie Kirk's assassination, whether it was when the president was shot at. There's all kinds of different things that have occurred that other people have made some really disgusting comments about. I know people who have lost their jobs because of comments they have made. If we need to make a policy, and like I said, I don't want to trample on anybody's First Amendment rights. People have a right to say what they want and how they feel. However, when you start going after people and you yourself sit there and go, oh no, I'm safe, I'm sorry, I got to draw a line on certain things. And that is infuriating to me. We got a lot of emails, we got a lot of pushback. I'm sorry to the individuals that are feeling the heat. It sucks. Social media is a dumpster fire. But, that, like you said, people in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones.
And again, my appreciation to both of the individuals we're talking about this evening. I serve on this committee. I'm the board rep for this committee. The individual, she's had an incredible amount of contributions to the committee. But again, I respect my colleague's right to rescind her nominee. And I look forward to seeing this committee continue to do great things for our students. But that's what it's all about. So again, we have a motion on the floor to approve the membership of the Family Life Advisory Committee, withdrawing the name Krista Schultz, as is the right of my colleague, who will provide a name in the future to staff. Is there any more discussion? I call the question. All those in favor of approving the Family Life Advisory Committee membership, with the exception of that one name, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Aye.
Who's opposed? Can I see? Greg, you're opposed also? Okay, it fails 1-4. If I can, without objection, we can table this for discussion to the next meeting. Is there any objection?
No, I mean, evidently, we'll have to come back because we do want this to be a committee, a board-appointed committee that we do have in place. So I'm in favor of having it come back, and we'll take another look.
Great, thank you. All right, next we'll call the question, or we'll go to the next topic. May I have a motion to approve our Career and Technical Education Local Advisory Council membership?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Battaglia. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
The first group of names, are those the student names,
Yes.
Dr. McKay?
On 6E.
Well, I do. I know we usually acknowledge our students.
Oh, wait, no.
Is
These
that the-
are, hang on a second. The first group.
Who's in the first group? I see the departments recommended or related.
Mr. Shockney. It's Jason Green,
Yeah,
Martin
the ones who are
Rickle.
listed there.
Mr. Eccles just got here just in time. Can you answer that question, Mr. Eccles?
Hi.
Hi.
Perfect time.
So none of the names on this list are students. These are all our business partners.
Okay.
The first group are the new appointees. The groups below are the ones that are continuing their service. It's a 3-year cycle.
Okay. All right, so the ones at the top are just the new ones. And
Correct.
I see that their term will expire in 2029.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure if we had students that we were acknowledging them publicly.
And I started reading the names, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not the right one.
Great. Any other comments? May I have a motion to approve the Security Advisory Council membership? Moved by Dr. Malvo,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Battaglia. Any discussion? Calling the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the Teacher Advisory Council membership?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Battaglia. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And finally, may I have a motion to approve our Community Advisory Council membership?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia, second by Dr. Dorsey. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, may I have a motion to approve personnel action items?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Battaglia. Dr. McCabe.
Staffing for the school year remains underway. This month, the personnel action items include 40 new hires, 3 retired rehires, 2 releases from contract, 2 promotions, 3 leaves of absence, 2 increases in FTE, and 2 decreases in FTE.
Any questions or comments, colleagues? I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to approve before and after school childcare leases?
So
Moved by Dr. Malvo,
I'll second that.
second by Dr. Dorsey. Dr. McCabe.
In advance of the school year, we bring for your approval the lease agreements with the before and after school childcare programs operating in most of our elementary schools. The parent-teacher organizations at each determines the provider. These lease agreements for your approval charge a fee based on the number of hours and square footage used for the program.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the Maryland Association of Boards of Education annual dues?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Battaglia. Dr. McCabe.
This is for the approval of the annual dues for membership in the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, known as MABE, and there is no increase in dues from the prior year.
Any questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And finally, may I have a motion to approve MABE's Legal Services Association fees?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Dr. Malvo. Dr. McCabe.
The final action item this evening is for the approval of the annual membership dues in the MABE Legal Services Association. There is also no increase in LSA dues for this year.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, colleagues. Next, we'll move into our next topic under discussion of proposed revisions to Board Policy and Administrative Regulations IHAQ, Work-Based Learning Experiences. Dr. McCabe.
As part of our ongoing policy review, we're bringing for discussion proposed revisions to Board Policy IHAQ, and the proposed revisions update the nomenclature to bring the policy more into alignment with the requirements under Blueprint for Maryland's Future. These changes reflect current programming in our schools, and Ms. McCausland and Mr. Eccles are both here to offer some background and respond to any questions you may have. After tonight, the policy revisions would be submitted for public comment and returned for action at the September meeting.
Good evening, board members, Dr. McCabe. Over the past several years, staff at the Maryland State Department of Education's Office of College and Career Pathways have been revising and expanding opportunities for our students in the area of career and technical education. Our purpose for revising tonight's work-based learning policy is to update language consistent with Pillar 3 requirements under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. What was at one time known as Career Connections has transitioned to Maryland's Career Connected Learning System, a coordinated strategy connecting education with workforce needs. Work-based learning is one of the components within this system approach.
Any questions from colleagues?
Just a comment. Looks like it's well overdue.
Yes.
That's what we thought.
Agreed, agreed. So we've been seeing a lot of changes within CTE and work-based learning and opportunities for students and the work that's been going on through the Maryland's Workforce Development Board, our local Workforce Development Board, Department of Labor, at the community college level is exciting, and things continue to move very quickly, and we're trying to keep up with all of those changes, but a very exciting time for our students.
All right, thank you very much. With that, we move to unfinished or new business. Are there any comments, thoughts? Yeah. 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 So next month, we'll have the proposed revisions with public comment, hopefully, and then also the Family Life Advisory Committee membership issue. Any other concerns, questions? All right. School starts real soon. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Our next meeting will be at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, September 9th. Board meeting with public participation in the boardroom here at 125 North Court Street in Westminster. May I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Dr. Dorsey.
Second.
Second by Ms. Battaglia. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.